Hey guys, Shadow here. So some of you have been requesting me to make deck profiles on decks that have been winning lately, like I've been doing in the past. So this is going to be a mixed deck profile. It's going to be a mix between red and blue decks, as you can see. And this deck actually won a tournament, I think, last week. So red and blue decks have always been doing pretty well since the game came out. And it seems like mixed decks are always going to be dominating the meta no matter what, just because there's more options in mixed decks. So starting off, we have a level 1 Marth. Marth being one of the best lords in my opinion, being able to move your opponent's cards in the front, and that's why they're making that level 1 Marth. And then I guess there's a, in order to increase the chance of them class changing earlier on, they're also using a level 3 Marth, and then the standard 4 level 4 Marths. And then he's using 1 level 5 Marth, so that like kind of closes up the Marth engine going on right there. And then we move on to the 3 Elise. So Elise is going to be used in pretty much every Marth deck. She's great in everything that she does. The plus 10 really helps out Marth being the Lord, and if they can't get rid of it, you really can't do any damage to Marth, or there's a really low chance of that happening anyways. Next we have the 4 copies of level 1 Kata. Personally, I like the level 2 more, but I can understand why you would use a level 1 just because it's easier to play, and also it has a support effect that's really important. And being a 30 support, of course. We have the standard 4 copies of Tiki. That should be used in pretty much every Marth deck because she can be brought back by Elise, and she's a level 1 to trigger Marth's effect. So the next card right here is actually Lind. She's actually a very underrated card in my opinion. I don't see her being used in a lot of decks. I do see her being used in decks, but she just seems like she's such a good card. When you play a level 1, you can draw a card. That's ridiculous. Such an easy effect to trigger. So yeah, he's using 3 of those. I personally use 2 in my Marth deck, but I definitely see 3 being a viable option. Next, she has copies of Maria. So I actually don't like Maria as much. If I were to change anything in this deck, I would change it to Lana, just because she has less of a cost. Maria needs a lot of bonds to be flipped face down to even use her effect. I mean, it's a great effect. It's just that sometimes it's kind of impractical to flip 3 bonds in one turn. That's a lot, but having 4 copies of Tiki in his deck, which we'll talk about later, probably makes up for that, so I can understand why he would use that. And of course, we have the 4 copies of the level 4 Kata. She is a 30 support. I think she's a staple in pretty much every red deck that you can fit her in. She's 60 base attack, pretty good, like I said, 30 support, and she's a searcher, the only searcher in the game, I believe, right now. So definitely a really, really good card. Next, he's using 4 copies of the level 5 Tiki. So I actually don't have 4 copies of her, so I'm using 2 as a proxy just to show you guys. But 4 copies of her, that will definitely accelerate the bonds, allowing him to use Maria's effect later on and keep getting those draw engines from Lind and searches and everything. Definitely really important in this deck. I'm actually thinking about trying 4 Tikis in my Marth deck just to see how that works, because I'm actually seeing a lot of Marth decks using 4 copies of this Tiki. And last, to round up the Marth, the red cards, we have 2 copies of Merrick. So yeah, 2 copies of Merrick, that's very standard. I usually see 2 copies of Merrick in Marth decks. I think 3 or 4 might be overkill, but I like using 3 or 4 in my deck, but that's just for fun anyways. And then that's it for the red cards. So we're moving on to the blue cards. So he's using copies of the level 1 flyers, 3 of Churchy, 3 Sumiyas, and 3 Cordelias. Not sure why he's using 3 Cordelias, but I guess that's probably his favorite. But yeah, they're there for support. The blue support is the support stats of the blue decks are super good. They have so many 3 support flyers, and they all have this ability Rescue, which is so important for mobility, moving your things around and then moving them back to the back row after they attack. Super good. And of course, any deck that can fit in Noe, we're using 4 copies of Noe. I honestly think she is the best card in this whole game right now. It seems like every deck that can fit her in is using her because of the engine. The blue engine is really reliable for the support, and you can use Noe, sorry, and you can use Noe. She's the only card in the game right now that can get bonds back, which is really important. Maybe later on there'll be other ones, but for now she's the only one. And I can see, right now I'm seeing the prices for her increase quite fast actually. It seems like they're going for like somewhere around 2,000 yen in Japan. Pretty high for for a rare card. And lastly, we have the level 2 Robin. He's good for early games when you're going first, if you're going first, because you're going to take some damage, and then you can play him just to heal that damage right back. So yeah, that's pretty much the Marth deck that has been winning lately. A lot of these red and blue decks have been winning, and I just want to do a deck profile on one real fast. So yeah, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!